Good morning. Today is Saturday. It is the 17th of August. We are in front of an area north of the Five Bogs area in Vermont. We were going to come here last week, but the remnants of Storm Debbie were indeterminate in causing complications. Conditions in getting here actually weren't that bad this morning, so maybe I overestimated that, but it was a judgment call at the time. We're here this week, and we're going to hit this and see if we can follow up on a area where we had a track find last year and the year before. See if it's consistent, see if there's any sign of life, and we'll take things from there. So we're going to do that, and we'll see what happens. Thanks. So we're back, and we've covered a bit of ground. And the weather's not exactly what I expected today. They kind of said it was going to be like semi-sunny, and this is not quite that. We need to bridge this, travel that way, and we'll do that now. The one thing that is going to, I have these boots on again. When they were out in the Five Bogs area 2 weeks ago, they proved not to be waterproof. I have since applied Cabela's waterproofing solution to them, which is going to be a challenge. The weather today is also drier. So if they soak through today, then they are just not waterproof. And that's what you get when you order online boots for less money than you might pay for an American pair. It's a learning. The sucky thing is they actually fit really well and they are comfortable. So I'm hoping that they live up to the hype, at least on this level. Last time they walked through rain and a whole lot of morning dew. Today the conditions aren't that, so maybe we'll fare better. It's also different terrain up here. This is like a little bit higher in the mountains than the Five Bogs. And the Five Bogs is foothills and like bog country. This is more kind of sort of mountainous. So that is what we are starting out with today. As far as things to discuss, there is some gossip that I am tempted to touch upon, but it doesn't lead anywhere other than old news that would prove to be petty. And I really don't want to delve into that or give it more airtime than it needs. I probably shouldn't even bring it up, but there you go. So first things first, I'm going to take my first segment break as I navigate through this. It's always a little bit tricky trying to figure this out. That's a beaver dam right there. And then I have to navigate the easiest way over to that because there's you can't tell in there, but there's actually two stream crossings. So we're going to take care of that first and get that out of the way. Once we're up there, the going gets easier a little bit. But you always have to kind of get past this part first, and I want to have hands free and not be distracted while I'm doing it. So let's start out there. I can get at least that far, then see how I go over that last part. So we're going to do that. I just thought I would chime in. We'll be back in a bit and see if I want to delve into it's more Bigfootery community gossip nonsense, but it's an example of repetitive history too. So it's fodder. I was kind of alluding to. Let's just get it out. I'm going to ask in the form of a question to a friend I've known a long time, and that is simply why in the F are you allowing yourself to get sucked back into the same shitty situation that you left 10 to 12 years ago? The person I refer to took a long break from the subject and has returned because as much as life was more peaceful and easy when he was not around, like roaches to atomic testing, they're back. And you actually approached me to interact with this person, and knowing I was happier and more at peace. I'm hucking because whether you can see it or not, we actually have the particulates in the air from the combined forest fires of the West Coast and Canada up in the upper atmosphere right now, so it is affecting air quality. Even in an idyllic place like this, worse in Connecticut, but also present up here to some extent. But I digress. The situation... You got a loon over there. Is that a kingfisher? Something swooping around. I'll have to note the bird type when I get over there. Because there are other people he hangs with and is always going to hang with that you profess you don't like. If you've gotten thoroughly sucked back into that group of people, surely you know this is going to end nowhere good. I'm not going to mention names because I have no interest in revisiting old bullshit. But I've seen him pop up here and there online recently, and I see the same falsely accusatory jackass I saw 12 years ago. And I'll just leave it there. Nothing's changed. He's the same person he was. And if there's one thing I have a natural aversion to, and you can interpret this any way you want based on your own religiosity, I have a strong aversion to fake Bible thumpers who are hypocrites. I really do. And this person is a walking textbook example of that. I'm not going to get into the specs of religion because I'm not touching that in a Bigfoot related podcast because they're two completely different subjects. But if you encounter this person and he doesn't like you on some level, he immediately goes to some religious and contextual analogy and tries to basically say that you're some form of demon or Satan or whatever. And you know what? People like that classically need to look in the mirror. That's all I'm going to cover on that. John, I really hope you know what you're doing, but you seem like you got sucked back in. And I'm sorry that you did that to yourself. Hopefully it doesn't bite you in the ass yet again, because you have enough shit going on, I'm sure. But if you're with that camp again, I don't hate you or anything, bud, but you're there on your own. I'm not going back to interact with these idiots because I have, frankly, better things to do. And if the other party hears this and is all offended about it, it's going to start thumping his big book. Not being beholden to the tenets of the Watchtower, I don't care. Sorry. And if you are a Jehovah's Witness, no offense, I'm not dissing your faith. I just don't feel beholden to buy into this one individual's nonsense. But regardless, you can't, I'm not part of your church, so you can't disfellowship me anyway. Defellowship me, whatever the term is. I know what it means though. And I'm going to navigate through this lovely briar patch of stuff over here to get over to that area over there now. And I'm going to drop the matter. I've spoken my 2 cents, and that is all I'm going to give that today. Too nice an area to dwell on, that guy and his bullshit. So let's move on. We'll be back in a bit, and we will try to think of other more Bigfoot-related things and not this. Meldrum show up, and they're the big hitters. A couple of others, too. Now the trending ones, and I'm sure that the object of my last rant will be butt-kissing, because now that he's trying to go back into the celeb Bigfooter space again after the market's thoroughly soaked up. Good luck with that, dumbass. That's some interesting poo right there. I'm going to take a photo of that real quick. Let me finish my rant here. This is why the sky watching thing's finding its way into the Bigfoot space too, because number one, you've got kooks who are trying to say it's an alien. You have no proof of that more than anything else, but your delusion, you're right. If, on the other hand, you actually are a serious UFO enthusiast and you want to get into a project that's really cool, Sky 360 is the one you're looking for, because these are like techie engineer types that have these big crazy homemade arrays of like telescopic sky watching things with like 5 different kinds of cameras, infrared, thermal, all this other shit, and other things that I forget I read about. But they are the kind of people I like, because when you start talking about like the CyberDeck thing and building your own computers out of Raspberry Pis and like bits and all that, that's kind of what these guys are doing and applying it to sky watching, which is a cool approach. Not the MUFON bullshit where you have, you know, crackpot number 4 telling you about the bubble-headed guy that he saw in a freaking legacy sci-fi movie the other night, coming in and making him and some beautiful blue-skinned alien chick freaking do naughty things for science. You know, if you laid off the moonshine, you might not have those memories as much, just saying. But anyway, a lot of people out there say the same thing about Bigfooters, so there you are. Anyway, You had Finding Bigfoot, and these celebrity Bigfooter types have kind of run the gambit. Cliff Barackman is a guy who maybe deserves more of a pass, because Cliff Barackman basically opened up his Bigfoot museum, and he branched out beyond. And no shame to him, no shade thrown that he actually branched out of that and used that as a springboard for other things, which is perfectly well and fine. Moneymaker is a douche and always has been, so fuck him just because fuck him. I've met Bobo. Bobo is Bobo. You like Bobo because Bobo is a likable guy. He's not playing a character. If you meet Bobo in person, Bobo is Bobo. And when he lost all the weight, I honestly hope that is due to a turning vegan thing or something and not an illness. Because again, you're a nice guy and you probably deserve better out of life than something like that happening to you. For all those that might think I'm overly negative. And Renee, I don't really have anything to say about Renee, because the one time they came to Connecticut and I met Bobo and I met Cliff, Renee was actually doing the job and talking to some witnesses, so I never really got a chance to talk to her, so I don't really have any impression of her good, bad, or indifferent, because, again, I didn't talk to her. No shade thrown, just I don't know the person, therefore it's not really my place to throw dispersions or aspirations on them, because I don't know them. That being said, I've never really heard anything particularly bad about the woman either, so there you go. As far as her role as a skeptic, you know, you're dealing again with TV and ratings, and that's all scripted anyway. Which brings us to Expedition Bigfoot, which is basically a bunch of acting and fake nonsense anyway. Cinnabar mind bullshit and all that happy shit. I gave up after the first season, so if it got better, you killed your premise in the first season. It doesn't matter. You made it a moot point. Anyway. So TV Bigfooting, you get into nonsense like mountain monsters and the guy that the object of my previous rant was doing hero worship towards for a while, showing where his head is at. Meh. It's adult live action Scooby-Doo in the South. Good luck with that. And yeah, we could go into about 5 or 6 different side rants from there, but whatever. You only got so much airtime, there's only so much juice on my battery, so we're not going to do that. We are going to take a moment and do some photography, given the nature of the scenery. And we'll be back in a bit with my next segment, which we're going to be more field related over that way, looking for tracks in a muddy area where we found them previously. Trail for a minute. Or it just got grown over and sucks. Fucking grabber bushes. Anyway. Let's kind of scout that shallow a little bit, see if there are any trout making themselves known for future reference. And if not, beaver did some work there. There's the... let's do this. Yeah, so believe it or not, I am trying to get less ranty in there. Unfortunately, there is no end in sight to what I'm just going to call inspirational nonsense. And snow, they got good. You just buy a Subaru, but up down in all the towns are in valleys, and when all the water comes down out of the mountains and that flooding happens, and let's just say that downtown Wilmington is night and day in its difference when you see like a good flooding begin. That's downright frightening. But let's take a look. You got all this weird. The thing about starting a fire out here too, you'd have to be real careful because this stuff is real dry. But if you start a fire out here, you are on federal land, and you would be facing a federal arson charge if they found its way back to you. And that there was a ranger in, I want to say, Colorado, who ironically was a member of the Forestry Service, who accidentally apparently messed up and made such a mess, and in the course of doing so started a forest fire, and possibly mainly due to the fact there was substance abuse involved. Not only did she end up getting fined a disgustingly large amount of money, she also ended up doing some time away, which, again, arson charge. So, yeah, it's looking more rocky, less muddy this time. I'm going to actually stick close to the water line, because there was a barred owl in the distance. Hoo 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 cooks for you. So the water's lower. It's looking like, don't let me take my word for it. Let me show you. It's a lot. You normally can't cross over this piece. It's a little bit more underwater, but again, it's later in the season, and as things get a little bit drier from August into September, more rocks and less water. As I stumble over those rocks as they get slippery. Anyway, I am going to do some more observational focused field work for a bit, and then we'll come back and see where we are. I was hoping that was a litter. It's a mushroom. Because you're this far out. If somebody's out here littering, you know, no offense, but you suck. Well, all offense intended. Fuck you, you suck. Anyway, we will be back in a bit and see where we are. And until then, I'm going to look around to find tracks. It's looking kind of rocky. I'll go down a ways, but I don't know. I was kind of hoping for muddier conditions, and I'm not seeing that. So I'll look for what I can. Something killed a blue jay right there, though. So all filthy, like with the mud. You're going to want to make other plans, because that's not how that is going to play out. What I had to do was effectively sit down on my ass in the grassiest spot I could find, and then slowly pull one out and keep from instinctually putting it back in, because human nature sucks in that moment, but then pull the other one out and then rinse them off as best you can. The mystery of that area that day was that I saw moose tracks in the middle of the muddiest spot, and how did an 800-pound freaking animal get through that without sinking in the middle of it? When I went the very edge of it, I was in up to my damn knees and beyond. That is one of the little mysteries of the North Woods, my friends. One of those things you'd like to be a fly on the wall just to know how the hell that works, but not today. Anyway, so let's backtrack through some material. So on the sky watching note, again, Sky 360 is an interesting project, because they are going about this hard science, and they're not posting all the normal campy nonsense that the celebrity paranormalist crowd, we'll call it that, play into. Don't even get me going on Ancient Aliens and the guy with the big hair, where I'm not saying it's not aliens, but it's aliens. But okay, sure thing there, buddy. With hair like that, you clearly are the alien. Hiding among us like you clever little bubble-headed freaking fetus-stealing guys do. Bastards. You leave our women alone. Anyway. Why suddenly am I getting through this area? It was that much easier to get through, as I was up there before. Bullwinkle had dug out a better area and didn't tell me. I'm going to tell Rocky and Boris on you, and they're going to be deeply displeased and make big trouble for moose and squirrel. Where that came from, I have no idea. Anyway, snaking through the pines, not allowing them to take my sunglasses off the top of my hat. That is not, it's a track, but it ain't a moose track. That's some kind of a clawed animal. Not a bear either, it's too small. Too big to be a raccoon, too small to be a bear. Beaver, porcupine? There's beaver activity. I'm going to go beaver. And the many, many, many spiders whose homes I'm wearing the remains of currently. You just can't walk through stuff like this and avoid that fate. It just doesn't work that way. There's another one. Sorry, dude. Anyway, we're going to start making our way back. Maybe I'll check the other side of the valley over here for activity, but excuse me, since there's no activity on the southern end, I don't know what the odds of that are going to be. But we will make our way through this and then probably take a segment break to navigate through the thicker undergrowth loveliness again, because it's just easier to do that with both your hands unoccupied. And what else? I think that's about, I can't really, I don't really think of anything new, and rather than ramble into the camera pointlessly, I'm going to and huck into it because of the air quality, because of the fire residue from before. I'm going to take another segment break, probably take the higher route around there to drop out onto the little opening there and give one last perusal of the funny thing is, at night you could have 3 of them walk down into the tree line of this crap and just hang out with popcorn or their equivalent of it and just hang out and watch you camp here. As long as they were quiet and didn't want you to know, you would have no friggin' clue they're there, because pine trees at night are like a wall of blackness. You just can't see through that. Anyway, on that note, we're going to take a... And we're back. This is going to be where we wrap up. It's a nice, pretty spot to do so. So the day remains... They're calling it partly sunny for Vermont. I'll say, okay, I guess so. We are not past over there yet, but kind of a quiet day out here. You are kind of in the middle of a nice scenic bit of nowhere. Last year... No. A couple years ago, I got a nice little like closing segment to the video where I had a crane of some sort out of the outcropping of rock over on that side. No, I take it back. It was right there on that rock. And it just made for a nice closing scene. That's why I like this area. I wasn't willing to get through the part of the season where you can get in here to miss that. Once the snow is on the ground in this damn, whatever that is, sorry. I had like an inchworm or something on my hand. Get off me. Sorry about that. Anyway,